Alright, so I'll be the first to admit that I am not doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing. Like, if I had a list of things that I need to do in order to be the type of person that I want to be and to get where I want to go in life, I'd say I'm doing like 50, maybe 60% of those things. Some of those things I don't feel capable of doing at the moment, and some of those things I'm just willfully neglecting to do. For example, I am on my phone way too much these days, and the person that I'm trying to be is very diligent with their phone use and doesn't stay up 3 hours past their bedtime because they fell into a scroll hole on Reddit. Yes, I have a bedtime, and yes, I am 30 years old. Get over it. But similar to the point that I was trying to make in my video about silence, I know that when I do limit my phone use and use it more appropriately, I tend to notice some benefits. I go to bed on time, I sleep more soundly, and I'm just slightly more productive when I'm not checking my phone every 5 minutes. And so in order to enjoy these benefits, I tell myself to be a little bit more strict with my phone use. But due to overwhelming frustrations, lack of personal progress, and just life being life, I am willfully neglecting to follow through on that rule that I set for myself because using my phone is just fun. It's a relief. I can take my mind off of everything that's not going right in my life at the moment and just laugh at some silly memes. But the reason I'm talking about this is because something really interesting starts to happen to me the closer I get to that 100% mark. And that's where the title of this video becomes relevant, because this interesting phenomenon has to do with my dreams.
Dreams! Hello, caller. Dreams!
And more specifically, how my dream self behaves. Now, like most people, I can't always remember my dreams. Immediately after waking up, I can usually remember some bits and pieces and some of the more significant parts. But usually by midday, I've completely forgotten my dream altogether. But what tends to stick out from the parts that I do remember are my responses to certain situations, not always the dream itself. Now, I should mention how I dream, because we all have very different experiences when we dream. And so for me, my dreams are never really that extravagant. Like, I'm never flying through the ocean or swimming through the clouds. Most of the time, my dreams tend to mimic reality, but just in really weird and condensed ways. Like, I might have a dream where I'm watching a movie with people I've never met, but who are technically my friends in this dream. But also, I'm in the movie and we're all starring in it together. But also, we're all driving in a car across countries that don't exist. So I guess a good way to describe my dreams is that they're just these realistic scenarios that are condensed and jumbled together and happening simultaneously. And so when I wake up, even though I can't always recall the scenario or what was happening, I can usually remember how I was behaving or how I responded to certain situations. And so what I started to notice was that the more that I do what I'm supposed to do while I'm awake, the closer that I get to that 100% mark, the more satisfied I am with my responses in the dreams. So for example, last year I went through this period where I was waking up early, working out, eating right, reading every night, working on learning about and putting out videos consistently, and engaging with music and media that I felt was useful and helpful and uplifting. And I was sustaining that for a period of time. Now, if you've seen any of my other videos, you know that those periods don't tend to last long. But for whatever reason, I was doing it consistently during this time. Now, I've made videos in the past about how I used to just love talking to people, and how even though I'm no longer good at it, it's still something that I place a lot of value in. And I've also made videos about how important I think comedy is. Now, those are two important facets of my personality that I don't get to express or engage in on a daily basis. And quite frankly, two things that I'm very bad at right now. But I remember during this period of time, I had a dream. And I can't remember the specific dream or the circumstances around it or what was happening or who I was with, but I do remember being with a small group of people. And even though I didn't recognize any of them, clearly in this dream world, they were people that I considered very close friends. And I know other things were going on, but a huge portion of what this dream was about was just us talking. And I remember having this feeling during that conversation of just completely being in control of how I was expressing myself. And so throughout the conversation we were having, I can remember certain points where I thought to myself in the dream, I'm gonna tell a joke here, or I'm gonna be funny. And I just remember every single time that I made that decision and I went through with it, I made people laugh every single time. And I still remember waking up that morning with just the biggest smile on my face. Because in that dream, I got to experience a feeling that I haven't had in the past 10 years, where I was just in complete control of how I expressed myself. And still to this day, sometimes when I'm feeling low or sad, I remember how I felt in that dream, which is probably a very sad and unfortunate thing to admit on camera, but it's the truth. But to make up for that very sad and depressing tidbit, I can remember a different dream that makes me look way cooler. So this one happened a long time ago. And again, I was going through a period where I just felt like I was doing everything that I needed to do in order to get where I wanted to go. And again, I can't remember the specific circumstances or what was happening in the dream, but I can remember being in a house and there was someone else in the house, but that's irrelevant. And I'm in this small tan room. Are my walls tan?
I'm in danger!
Anyway, so I'm in this small tan room and there's a window and I'm looking out the window and I just have this kind of apprehensive feeling. Like I know something is about to happen, but I'm not really scared. I just know that something is coming. And then I see a figure kind of appear in the window and this figure is pointing a gun at me. And even though this figure was pointing a gun at me, again, I didn't really feel scared. But then this dream criminal pulled the trigger several times and shot me. And I can remember feeling each bullet hit and just not reacting. I literally just stood there, watched this guy shoot me several times and didn't feel any type of fear or negativity or anger or anything. I just felt convinced that no matter how many times this person shot me, they wouldn't be able to hurt me. And I woke up feeling like a straight up gangster. Oh my goodness. Are you kidding me? That's the hardest line I'm gonna deliver and my voice cracks. And I woke up feeling like a straight up gangster. Like, I felt invincible. I just felt like as long as I keep doing what I think I'm supposed to be doing, that really nothing can stop me. And that's such a great feeling. It also felt like positive reinforcement. Like I was actually at that time doing what I'm supposed to be doing here. And so those are just two examples of dreams that I can actually remember during periods of time where I was doing everything that I felt that I should be doing. And I could also remember some of the dreams / responses to situations that happened in those dreams that took place during a time where I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing, which if you've seen my videos was the majority of the past 10 years. I can remember this dream I had about the dark-haired woman. Now this one hit me so hard that I can actually kind of remember the setting. So basically we're on this very tiny island. I mean, it's so small that you can literally see every coast. And there are seaplanes everywhere and there's a giant mountain in the back. But on the island, there are just a bunch of benches with people talking on them. And then there's just this like bar type thing in the middle. But anyway, all of that's irrelevant. So I'm sitting at one of these benches with a group of people that, again, I don't know, but I guess we're all friends. And I remember in that group, there's this dark-haired woman who, for whatever reason, I'm kind of attracted to. So anyway, we're talking, I can't remember about what, and it's light out and it's just a nice day. Now again, it's a dream, so I can't remember how this happened, but all of a sudden everything's dark and everyone is gone. And somehow I'm lying down, but the dark-haired woman is still in the corner of the room. And I remember I'm facing her and she just gets this horrible grin on her face. I mean, I can still see it now. It's been permanently just etched into my brain. Now obviously I'm terrified and I'm freaking out, but I also can't move. And she steps towards me and reaches out her hand and she touches my chest. And fortunately at that moment I woke up. But the worst part about that was that I woke up in the position that I was lying down in my dream. And that just messed with my sense of reality. Like, was she actually there? And I think I've mentioned this before, but something that happens with me whenever I have these very vivid or emotional dreams is that tears will just start to run down my face. I'm not crying, okay? Like I'm not like ugly crying, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm just sitting there stone-faced, staring at the ceiling while tears are just streaming down my face. I can't control it, there's nothing I can do, but that just happens. And I don't know how to do this, but I'd be really interested to know if that happens to anyone else. Nobody that I've talked to has had that happen to them, the tears thing. But I know I'm not the only person that this happens to, so I'd be really interested to know if anybody else experiences that. But anyway, yeah, that was a dream that I had when things weren't going well, at a time when I wasn't doing the things that I was supposed to be doing. You know, one thing that could explain it is that I get sleep paralysis a lot, like an abnormal amount. Even when things are going well, I still get a lot of sleep paralysis. But when things are going poorly, my sleep paralysis experiences are vivid and terrifying. But I remember maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I was again going through a period of time where I wasn't doing the things that I was supposed to be doing. I had moved out with my sister. We were living in a 2-bedroom apartment. I was having a hard time finding the second job that I needed to be able to make rent. And instead of really committing myself to the grind of putting out applications, I was smoking copious amounts of weed and watching a lot of Scrubs. And so I remember one night I was having this dream and it was just all Scrubs related. All the characters, some of the storylines, they were all there. And I remember the dream ending on just a horrific note. And I remember I woke up in a state of sleep paralysis. And I was laying on my side, unable to move, and I saw this amorphous blob. It had a human figure, no face, and its outlines were constantly moving and constantly shifting. Now, this happened in like 2 or 3 seconds. But the blob was at the side of my bed. I blinked and it was face to face with me. I blinked again and it was gone. And same thing, just tears, just unrelenting tears. And after that, it didn't take too long for me to regain my movement. And so I sat up, turned on my light, and didn't sleep again for 2 days. And so yeah, my dreams/dreamlike experiences tend to be very negative when I'm not doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing. And when I am, not only do my dreams reflect that, but also my dream behavior. I mean, going back to that dream I had where I got shot, that was during a time when things were going well. I have had scary or terrifying dreams when things were going well, and that's why I emphasize my dream behavior, because when things are going well, I respond well to those things. They might scare me in the dream, but when I wake up, I'm not scared, because in that dream, I responded to that fear how I would hope to respond. Now, I know, nobody knows what dreams are. Scientists, psychologists, therapists, just better minds than mine have studied this for centuries. And so I know I'm not going to be the one to crack the code. But my experience with dreams tells me that my dream self is kind of like a reflection of my conscious self. The closer my conscious self gets to being who I want to be, the more my dream self reflects that person. I don't have any agency in dreams. I can't physically control my responses. I can't think and decide what I'm going to do next. Things are just happening constantly. Everything almost feels like it's just always instinct. Like it's action, response, with no time to plan your next thought or your next sentence. You're just constantly moving. And so it feels like my dream self is operating on its own with my conscious self just being taken along for the ride. And so I just feel like it's not this like puppet and puppeteer dynamic where my conscious self just actively controls like what my dream self does. It's more like my dream self just feels like more of an extension of my conscious self. Like you take my conscious self, take away the ability to think and plan, and stick that version of myself in this world that is just constantly moving, and that's what my dream self is. And my dream self's functionality is dependent upon how my conscious self is doing in this reality. And so the better I do here, the more functional my dream self is in the dream world. But yeah, that's my theory. If you made it this far, as always, thank you for indulging me. Apparently the one thing that we do know is that everybody dreams, but not everybody remembers their dreams, and not everybody is even conscious of the fact that they dreamt. But wherever you fall on the spectrum, I do hope your dreams/non-dreams are helpful and or informative in some way, and that they're not just these monstrous distractions that you have to cope with. But yeah, with that said, I wish you all the very best going forward. Take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.